welcome. I'm Dennis Young. I'm the founder of Issues in Education. And with me is Doug Hayter, who's the Executive Director of MASA. And we're at the first annual Administrative Leadership Summit. So welcome.
Thank you, Dennis. Good to be here.
Well, tell us something about the Leadership Summit and what are the kinds of issues that have brought this together with ASBO?
Well, we're really pleased. This is as you mentioned, our first Administrative Leadership Summit. We've partnered with the Missouri Association of School Business Officials and tried to combine our conference for a couple of reasons. One, administrative leaders are busy, busy people. And we felt like if we could take 2 weeks, condense it into 1 week, and put together a more comprehensive program, that would be a great thing. So with the finance segment from MOASBO and all the things that MASA provides, we thought, first of all, that was a good thing to do. Secondly, any good leader has to have a variety of skills. And so putting all those skills together in one conference seemed to make a lot of sense. So we have a lot of great strands, a lot of things going on, and so we're excited about getting started this year and looking forward to future years together as well.
Well, great. Well, as I travel the country at some other conferences, it seems like everybody is addressing the same types of issues, maybe from their own perspective, their own community and culture. Right. What are really the hot issues that are kind of driving your agenda for this summit?
Well, funding, of course, is always a key issue for any state, anywhere across the country, and Missouri is no exception. We've been exceptionally fortunate the last few years that we've had full funding of our foundation formula, which is basic state aid to schools, which is a great thing. So we're really appreciative to our governors, our state legislature for doing that, because that's really important. Another big key piece that we'll be talking about at the conference, and you're going to see a lot, is school transportation funding. That's about $200 million underfunded.
Wow.
Districts are supposed to be reimbursed at a 75% rate. We're down, in the 20% range as far as reimbursement percentage. So we're hopeful that that's a key issue that's going to, over the next few years, catch up with the full funding of the foundation formula so that we can help with that. Federal funding, especially IDEA and special education. When that federal law came out years ago, they were promising 40% funding. I think the best we've seen is about 20%. Again, we realize that it's difficult to find dollars, but all of those funding pieces always continue to be a key element for us, and so that's a big issue in helping school district leaders handle their budget. So that's finance would be one of the big ones, of course.
So it's interesting, as I talk to some of the taxpayers out there, and they say, well, they're getting by with less, but what suffers?
Well, everything suffers. If you look at any budget for any organization, Aetna included, school districts, about 75 to 80% of total costs are going to be what? They're going to be personnel related.
Absolutely.
So 20% going back into the classroom and other things. So, we always have to have priorities. We talked about school transportation. Those costs go up, then that money has to come from somewhere. And if you want to use the pie analogy, which I used to use as superintendent, the pie is only so big, so we cut it into whatever slices we need.
More slices, right?
And
smaller.
That's right. So, pay for teachers, those types of things, unfortunately tend to be the last decisions you can make because it's discretionary. And it's definitely an issue we need to continue to address is how do we take care of our teachers who are so important in the classroom and take care of them as well.
Well, very good, very good. Well, the whole issue of school safety keeps coming up every place I go, and some of them deal with the school safety issue in terms of how do you arm teachers, others deal with it, how do you keep intruders out. But that whole area of mental health is something that you seem to focus on because of its importance. So tell me something about that.
I think the whole issue of especially student mental health has really become a key issue for school districts. How do we help kids? And it relates back to, Dennis, what you discussed in regard to school safety. Kids coming to school with just a lot of issues. People want to pinpoint that to school. Well, you have these issues at school. Well, I'm constantly reminding people that a school is simply a microcosm of our society. And it's the same issues we're dealing with. Family situations, social media, the pressures and stress of life. So mental health is one. We have a session going on currently upstairs about ways the Raymore Peculiar School District in Missouri is dealing with that. So we continue to get a lot of questions. There's another great resource. There's a consortium up in the Columbia, Missouri area through Boone County. They have a special funding source, and there's a consortium of school districts doing some really great things. So those are a couple of really good resources if people are looking. The Raymore Peculiar School District and then the Boone County Consortium there out of Columbia.
Okay.
Really doing some neat things for kids that not everyone can do. So a couple of good examples.
Well, we'll put their contact information up on the
Absolutely, yeah.
website.
That'd be
That
great.
would be a great resource.
You bet.
The training that must go into trying to assess mental health issues must be something that teachers weren't originally trained to do. I know when I stood outside the front door of a high school with the principal, how he is just analyzing every student that comes in that door and saying hi to them and having a brief conversation, and then tells me, well, you know, Johnny's answer wasn't a good one. I didn't recognize that. Well, he knew Johnny.
Yeah.
He was able to assess that condition. Talk on that. That's just a fabulous area of psychology and science that most of us know very little about.
It is. And I think our institutions of higher ed, especially as they go back and get administrative degrees, that's an area that we need to focus more on, because as you're right, I mean, we're going to deal with pedagogy. How do you teach?
How do you teach?
How do you manage the classroom? But school is so much more comprehensive today. I've jokingly said in recent years that if the school nurse is out, cancel school.
Yeah.
When I was going to school, it wasn't a big deal, but it's totally different. Social workers, school counselors, and a different segment of training for them. As you said, even the classroom teacher and administrators understanding signs and seeing those kinds of things. I've made this statement before, Dennis, and that is, public schools often can be criticized, and we can always be better, but we really do more for kids today than we've ever done comprehensively. There's just no doubt about it, and a lot of really good things going on, and that's one we need to continue to get better at.
Are the needs greater, or you think they've always been there, but they've just been under the surface and no one recognized them?
I think it's a combination of both. They've always been there because some things never change.
Right.
But I think in today's world, with the spontaneity of everything and information, I think it's heightened it. So I think a combination of both probably in today's world.
So what do you see the future of education? Where's it going, let's say, in maybe 15, 20 years? Let's get a little farther out there.
Right.
How's pedagogy going to change? How teacher training going to change? How are students going to change?
Right. Well, technology, of course, is going to be a key driver, how we do it. Personally, I don't think you ever get away from good instruction and the ability of a person or persons to deliver that instruction and help kids guide their own learning. So I think you're going to see more of the technology usage, but again, good teaching and good instruction I don't think is ever going to go away. I think we're going to have to broaden our thought patterns about structures of time. Are we going to worry just about time in the Carnegie unit? Are we going to worry about how does Dennis Young progress from here to here, and how do we do that outside the normal school hours with other instrumentality, all those kinds of things. Also, the issue of school choice. How do we balance that with funding for schools and keeping a level playing field? So all those things I think are going to play a big part.
So where does that virtual classroom fit into that future school? Is there a place for it?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt there is, especially in rural Missouri, across the country, where access is limited, and even in larger, more urban districts as well. The Springfield School District's doing a great program called Launch, which is a video learning, and it's expanding throughout the state. I think it's those types of innovative ideas that are going to bring, really more comprehensive ability to provide a quality education for every student in the state.